Welcome to the first video in my Intro to Tarot series. Today is Beltane and it's actually a perfect day to start working with tarot or to really get into your journey with tarot. So I feel like it's a perfect day to start this series, and also if you're just starting to work with tarot or tarot, however you prefer to say it, this is a great day to get started on that journey. What we're going to talk about in this first video, some of the first steps that you can take as soon as you get your deck to start building a relationship with the deck itself and the energies that are associated with it, and start building a relationship that's going to be for the betterment of your path as well as your spiritual path, which the cards will definitely aid you with. So what should you do when you either are gifted a deck of tarot cards or you buy a deck of tarot cards? The first thing that I would recommend that you do is set aside some solo time for yourself to be able to spend with the cards. And this first session with the cards is not going to be anything that's stressful or that you need to get a bunch of things together for and you need to set aside a huge amount of time. Just set aside as much time as you comfortably have in your schedule. And I also recommend that along with the deck of cards and the little white book or the larger book that accompanies the cards, and you don't even need to have that if you don't want to, but you can have that set aside. I also recommend that you get together a tarot journal of some sort, whether that's just a notebook or you're going to be typing it, on your laptop or your computer, or however you like to do that. I really recommend that you have a notebook or journal of some sort set aside specifically for your work with tarot and for your observations and what you learn and your interactions with the decks themselves. So try to get that set aside and have a pen so that you can take some notes and begin your work with the cards by grounding yourself. Now there's many different ways that you can do that, and a lot of us have our own preferences for how we want to ground ourselves and get ourselves prepared to work with other energies. So you can choose to do that in a number of ways. You can do a walking meditation to just ground and prepare yourself to be sitting still for a little while, or you can choose to simply take a few deep breaths and ground. And you can do that like this. Take a nice long inhale in through the nose. Hold that breath for a few seconds and then release. And you can choose to do that through the nose, or you can exhale through your mouth, especially if you're feeling a little stressed and nervous. So do that for a few rounds of breathing. So inhale, hold, exhale, release. And feel your feet flat on the floor, whether you're sitting or you're choosing to walk. But feel your feet on the floor and imagine that you're growing roots and those are stretching down into the ground through the house that you live in and the foundation and the stones down into the ground, so that you're deeply connected to the earth and to Pachamama or Mother Earth's energy. You're safe and protected with her energy, and your energy is grounded so that you can work in this realm and then be able to safely re-enter back into your regular everyday life with no issues. So once you feel that you've grounded yourself enough where you're feeling comfortable and relaxed, especially if you were feeling a little stressed or anxious to begin with, then you can sit down and get to work with the cards. So there are several different viewpoints about what tarot actually is. A lot of people feel like it's a sacred tool, and some people feel that there are actually 78, individual unique energies, kind of soul pictures of a type, representing the collective unconscious and major markers in our lives, working with myth, and that they're to be respected in that way. But however you choose to look at them, whether they're actual energies that you are that you're working with, as you said about on this journey, or if you feel that they're just sacred tools to access your higher self and your unconscious, then you want to make sure that you're approaching them with respect. So what I would recommend that you do is sit down and just shuffle them. Feel their energy. Feel how the deck's energy is interacting with your energy. So it's going to take a little bit, and shuffle for as long as you feel appropriate. And you can choose how you want to shuffle. Everyone has their own way of shuffling. There is no one correct or incorrect way to do so. So just shuffle until you feel that both of your energies are getting to know one another and you're feeling comfortable with working with the cards, with feeling the cards and touching the cards. Now, as you're sitting here quietly doing this, you might notice that you are seeing things, hearing things, feeling things, sensing things, even smelling things. Don't be alarmed by that. If you're new to working with your intuition, that can seem a bit scary at first. It's not. It's just your intuition picking up on different hits from the cards themselves and what their messages are for you, especially at this time. So once you feel that you've shuffled them enough, now take some time to actually look at the artwork. This deck is the Shadowscapes deck. And it's a beautiful, beautifully illustrated deck. But fan the cards out and take a look at the back of the decks. What is the artwork that's depicted there? Take some time to look at that. See how it makes you feel. Is it calming? Is it intriguing? Does it make you feel uncomfortable or nervous? You know, just notice how you feel. And then once you've looked at the back of the artwork, turn the cards over and take some time to look at the artwork themselves. So there are going to be 22 major arcana cards in most decks, especially if you're working with a Rider-Waite-Smith template. They are numbered 0 through 21. Those are the major arcana. Then there are 16 court cards, and the names for those differ with each deck, but it's usually Page, Knight, Queen, King, or something along those lines. There are 4 for every suit in the minor arcana. Now the minor arcana are 10 cards for each suit, and those are typically, but they can have different names for each deck, swords, wands, cups, and pentacles or coins. So those are the cards that you're going to be looking at, but that's not important for you to try to memorize or remember right now. You're just taking a look at the cards themselves. And again, notice how they make you feel. Notice what you pick up on. So after you've taken a look at the cards, and you can choose to fan them out flat on your table or the floor wherever you're working, or you can actually set them all out individually so that you can get a good look at each one. But make sure you are actually looking at each card. Then pick the card that you like the most out of the deck, the card that you like the least, that makes you the most uncomfortable or that you just absolutely hate the artwork for, and the card that registers as a 0 on your scale, the card that doesn't really make you feel anything. Take those 3 cards out, then get your journal out, write down the name that's on the card itself, and write down the feelings that those cards are bringing up for you, how they're making you feel. You know, the positive for the one that you loved, possibly negative for the one that you hated, and then what made you feel absolutely nothing or just didn't light your candle at either way. You just felt nothing for this card. Write those feelings down. Now look at the card and imagine that the card is speaking to you. What is the message that the card is giving you? Take time to write that down. And whatever comes up, it might seem like it makes absolutely no sense or it's embarrassing or you hate it. Don't judge. Write that meaning down for yourself. Now you can choose if you want to look through the little white book or the larger book that accompanied your deck. You can look up the meanings for those cards and see what the written message is for you from those 3 cards. Those 3 cards are your greatest teachers in the deck at this time as you begin your relationship with the deck. So you can take a look at those meanings in the book if you want to, but remember that listening to your intuition and your psychic gifts is what's most important as you work with the cards. The meanings are definitely helpful and they certainly serve a purpose and we honor that purpose. But we most of all, as we're reading, listen to the messages that we're getting inside, because although tarot is 78 cards that do have meanings, they are subjective and different for each person, and it's really important to pay attention to and listen to the meanings that apply and that strike home for you. So after you've written down these meanings and you've hopefully, if you have time, meditated and thought about the meanings that those 3 cards hold for you, you can gather the cards together and shuffle the cards to end this session with the cards themselves. Shuffling the deck when we're done working with it is a way of honoring the cards and releasing the energy of the messages that the cards had to give us at this time. So we're honoring the cards and we thank them. And you can say that out loud or privately to the deck itself. And then you can gently put the cards aside and, make sure you take a few moments before you end this session and put everything away to ground again. And do that by breathing or whatever grounding method works for you best. You know your own body and you know what works best to help bring you back into the regular world from this expanded space and time that we've been working in. So if you want, you can choose to end your first session with the cards here. Or if you feel up to it, you can watch the next video in the series and get to work on actually cleansing the deck. Now, touching each card and working with each card in the deck as we just have is a form of cleansing in and of itself. So don't worry that there were negative energies attached to the deck as you were working with them just now. You were actually cleansing the deck yourself as you were touching each card and uniting your energy with the energies associated with the deck. But we are going to talk about in the next video how to how to cleanse and ground the deck through using other methods and other tools such as sage and smoke and candlelight and water and things like that. So we'll talk about that in the next video, and you can choose to go on to that now, or you can choose to end the session that you've just had working with tarot for the first time. So if this is your first time working with a deck of tarot cards ever, then I congratulate you and I hope that you found this video helpful. If you are used to working with tarot and you're just trying this out with a new deck, then I hope that you are enjoying getting to know your new deck, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video and hearing what you have to say about this video. Thank you for watching. Bye. So I know that we just ended our first session with the tarot cards, but I wanted to reiterate the importance of keeping a tarot journal. I know that I did discuss that at the beginning of this video, and you might feel that, keeping a journal is just not for you. It's just not something that you're interested in doing. You don't enjoy writing, but it is really a wonderful tool to keep track of your own journey with tarot, all that you learn about the cards, and all that you learn about yourself as you're working with them. I know for myself, as I'm teaching tarot workshops now, looking back at my original journals from my first time working with tarot has been really helpful for me to see what did the cards mean to me at that point, how has that changed, how has my relationship with the cards changed, and to see just how much I've learned. So I really highly recommend that you keep a tarot journal of some sorts to document your journey and so that you can remember what the meanings of the cards themselves are for you. And how that changes. It can be very fluid, especially if you're keeping track of the meanings. It's much easier to remember and to recall all that you've learned as you're going along. So I hope that you all do keep tarot journals, and I will see you in the second video in the Intro to Tarot series.